Games by Toaplan have been around for a pretty long time. In North America, several games such as Tiger Heli, Twin Cobra, Truxton, and Hellfire had made the jump in the 8 and early to 16-bit eras. One such game that wasn't quite as lucky was Twin Hawk, which was only released to arcades in North America in 1989. Europe did get it on the Mega Drive in 1990 though.
Twin Hawk was originally titled Daisenpu, or Firestorm in Japan, and also saw release on the PC Engine as well, via NEC Avenue. In 1991, an enhanced version of Daisenpu called Daisenpu Custom was released for the PC Engine CD ROM 2 system. Daisenpu Custom is basic in most respects, though it does have a pretty big twisty twist. Let's take a closer look.
At first glance, there's absolutely nothing that really pops out in terms of Daisenpu Custom's gameplay. Movement is 8-way and only moderately quick, and your shots are simple and kind of dull looking. All of your opposition is also surface-based as well, meaning that the only thing that will hurt you is enemy shots, and not the enemies themselves. It takes a bit of getting used to, but once you get comfortable flying over your enemies, it helps in taking them out just a bit easier.
Daisenpu Custom also has a simple progressive power-up system that will strengthen and widen your attacks. P-icons will appear when beige trucks or boats are shot, and will add a stream of 2 more bullets to your shots. Blue vehicles yield free lives, and white ones will increase your bomb stock, known as the helper system. This is where stuff really starts to get interesting.
Instead of your typical bombs that clears shots off the screen and heavily damages or destroys everything, using a helper will summon a squadron of 6 planes to your side, which are controllable horizontally at a slower rate than your own plane. All of these planes also have base firepower as well, so their shots in addition to yours are far-reaching and fairly effective.
These planes will hang out as long as they're not shot down, and with their limited mobility, it is possible to avoid destruction fairly well. But if they get hit, they'll target a nearby enemy and take them out kamikaze style. You can also force them to sacrifice themselves to deal huge damage to your enemies as well. This is a pretty morbid function, but effective.
So long as one plane remains through the end of the stage, your stock will be replenished by 1 in the next area. You can also double tap the helper button for a more traditional area annihilator, which is 1 shot and uses 1 helper from the stock.
All of this combines to make a game that, while still pretty unforgivable in many ways, is also not entirely impossible. The difficulty could actually be described as pretty tame by all accounts, especially on easy. But Daisenpu Custom isn't without problems. There is a pretty big, not so well defined hitbox on your planes, so it's fairly easy to get hit, and lose all your gunpowder. There's also a checkpoint system that, while fairly forgiving, is still a bit of a pain, especially with the CD load times.
Daisenpu Custom is also pretty firmly in early Toaplan caravan-style territory with looping stages and no real ending. Instead, herding players into subsequent rounds of 7 stages with more difficult opposition. So what about Daisenpu's scoring? There sure isn't much to Daisenpu Custom's scoring. Everything has a predetermined score attached to it, whether it's a popcorn enemy or a boss. There's no special bonuses, nothing that really boosts your score in any way. It's all startlingly basic.
At least there is a fairly generous extend score, allowing for many lives to be earned in stock to achieve huge scores, despite the lack of any fancy chains or scoring mechanics that would otherwise boost the game's numbers.
Daisenpu Custom's presentation is a bit of a mixed bag. It's pretty weak in some areas, strong in others, but ultimately average in most respects.
Compared to the Mega Drive and PC Engine HuCard versions of the game, the visuals here are quite a bit less flashy and washed out in comparison. The colors are more drab, and there is missing animation on the Helper Squadron planes. Most of your opposition is completely recycled throughout the entire game, and the boss designs are less than stellar.
Sound-wise, the explosions and sound effects are pretty muffled and poorly sampled, but the music in particular is fairly fantastic, especially compared to the PC Engine HuCard version. The CD Red Book audio features some seriously decent arrangements of the music in Daisenpu, and comes off as the strongest part of the whole package.
So on the whole, it's not that Daisenpu Custom is bad, but it's far from great. So just how does it stack up? Let's take a look.
While the controls here aren't bad, Daisenpu Custom isn't exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer.
The limited direct control of your friendlies is a nice touch.
Daisenpu Custom can be really easy with a little practice.
Dying with full power can really tick a player off, though.
As a caravan-style game, there's a lot to play, and with 7 stages per loop, Daisenpu Custom is fairly lengthy.
Unfortunately, there isn't much to play toward at the end of each loop, so your mileage may vary.
Scaled back considerably in some areas, the visuals in Daisenpu Custom are drab and uninspiring.
There isn't much to see here. Most of the enemies are reused liberally throughout the whole game, and the boss designs are less than great.
While there is a lack of overall sound effects, and while what's here is muffled and downsampled to the extreme, the music is easily the game's strongest point.
The arrangements here easily beat the Mega Drive and PC Engine HuCard versions handily.
The helper system is one of the coolest things to come out of Daisenpu, and the idea would be carried over in a limited way by other studios in the future, such as in Strikers 1945.
Though the kamikaze attacks are a little on the morbid side, they add a layer of strategy to the game that hadn't been seen before and only very rarely since.
On the whole, Daisenpu Custom isn't exactly a game I'd go out of my way to play again. It's a bare-bones, non-super seedy game with less than fantastic visuals, super repetitive surface-only enemies, and it's only made more tolerable with some decent music and a cool bomber system. In the end though, Daisenpu Custom ends up being utterly average, and it gets a 2.5 out of 5. Getting a copy of Daisenpu Custom is pretty easy. Complete copies with the spine card can get up there in price, but if you can score one for less than $20 as we did, it might still be worth having. Maybe. Do you know about this game? It's called Daisenpu Custom.